Judges chapter 1. Canaanite survivors in Palestine. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites consulted the Lord. Who among us shall be our leader in our fight against the Canaanites? The Lord answered, Judah shall be your leader. Into his hands I have delivered the land. So the people of Judah said to their brothers from the tribe of Simeon, Help us to take the part of the land that is allotted to us by conquering the Canaanites in battle, and then we will conquer with you the region that is yours. So they joined forces for the war. When the tribe of Judah attacked the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Lord gave them into their hands. In Bezek they defeated 10,000 men. In Bezek they encountered Adoni-Bezek and fought against him and defeated the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Adoni-Bezek fled, but they pursued him. They captured him and cut off his thumbs and big toes. Adoni-Bezek then said, 70 kings whose thumbs and big toes I had cut off used to pick scraps under my table. Now God has done to me according to what I have done. They brought him to Jerusalem, and he died there. The tribe of Judah attacked the city of Jerusalem, and after killing its inhabitants, they burned the city. Afterwards, they went from Jerusalem to attack the Canaanites who lived in the mountains, in the Negev, and in the plains. They also attacked the Canaanites who were in Hebron. Hebron was also called Kiriathaba at that time. And they defeated Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there they marched against the inhabitants of Debir, a city which was also called Kiriath-Sepher. Then Caleb made this promise. To the one who takes Kiriath-Sepher I will give my daughter Asa as wife. It was Othniel who took the city. He was the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And Caleb gave Asa his daughter as wife. When Asa came to Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. As she alighted from her ass, Caleb asked her, What do you want? She answered, Since you have given me the land of Negev, give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. The descendants of Hobab the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, also went out with the people of Judah from the city of palms to that part of the desert of Judah on the boundary of the Negev near Arad, and they settled there with them. Those from Judah and their brothers from the tribe of Simeon attacked the Canaanites who lived in Zephath, and they devoted Zephath to destruction under the solemn ban. For this reason the city was named Hormah. Judah seized Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron, each with its own territory. Although they conquered the mountainous regions with the help of the Lord, they could not drive out the inhabitants of the plain because they fought with iron chariots. Following the orders of Moses, they gave the city of Hebron to Caleb, who drove out the 3 sons of Anak from there. But the tribe of Benjamin did not succeed in expelling the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. The Jebusites have stayed in Jerusalem until this day. The people of Joseph went up against Bethel with the help of the Lord. They sent men out to spy in Bethel, formerly called Luz, and they met a man coming out of the city. They said to him, Tell us how we can enter the city, and we shall deal kindly with you. He showed them the way. Then they entered and put the city to the sword, but set that man free, together with his whole family. The man went to the land of the Hittites, where he built a city which he called Luz, is its name to this day. However, the tribe of Manasseh did not drive out the people of Bet-Shean and Tanach, and the towns that depended on them, nor did they drive out the inhabitants of Dor, Ibleam, and Megiddo, and the towns that depended on them. The Canaanites were determined to dwell there, and they kept their land. But when the Israelites grew stronger, they exacted forced labor from the Canaanites who lived there, but did not drive them out. Neither did the tribe of Ephraim expel the Canaanites who lived in Gaza, nor did the tribe of Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron and Nahalol. These Canaanites lived among them, but they were subjected to forced labor. Those of Asher did not expel the people of Akko, Sidon, Alab, Akzib, Helba, Afik, and Rehob. The tribe of Asher had to live in the midst of the Canaanites who occupied their territory, for they could not drive him out from that region. The same happened with the tribe of Naphtali that failed to drive out the inhabitants of Beth-Shemesh and Bethanath. They had to dwell in the midst of the Canaanites who lived in that region. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Beth-Shemesh and Bethanath were subjected to forced labor. The Amorites drove the Danites back to the mountain region and did not allow them to come down to the plain. The Amorites also remained in Har-Heres, Aijalon, and Shalbim. But when the tribe of Joseph grew stronger, they forced the Amorites to hard labor. The territory of the Amorites extended from the slope of Akrabim to Selah and Apud. Judges chapter 2. The Lord warns Israel. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said to them, I made you go up from Egypt and brought you to the land I had promised your fathers. I said to them, Never will I break my covenant with you, but you shall not make any covenant with the Canaanites. You shall destroy their altars. But you have not obeyed my command. Why did you not obey me? Now I will drive you out these nations before you. They shall be your oppressors, and their gods shall be a trap for you. After the angel of the Lord had spoken, all the Israelites began to weep and cry. For this reason they named that place Bochim. There they offered sacrifices to the Lord. When Joshua dismissed the Israelites, each one of them went to his inheritance to occupy the land. The people served the Lord during the lifetime of Joshua and of the leaders who had lived him and who had witnessed all the great works the Lord had done for Israel. Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110 years. They buried him within the boundaries of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mountains of Ephraim, north of the Mount Gash. The whole generation died, and another one came, who did not know the Lord or what he had done for Israel. Unfaithfulness and punishment. The Israelites did what was wrong in the eyes of the Lord, for they served the Baals. They abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers, who had brought them out of Egypt, and served other gods, the gods of the neighboring peoples. They bowed before these gods and offended the Lord. When the Lord saw that they had abandoned him to serve Baal and Ashtaroth, he became angry with his people and gave them into the hands of plunderers who left them in misery. He himself sold them to their enemies all around, so that these Israelites could no longer withstand them. Whenever they felt strong for an offensive, the Lord would turn against them and send evil upon them, as he had warned them and sworn to do. And this caused much distress and anguish for the Israelites. The Lord raised up judges who saved the Israelites from the hands of these plunderers. But they did not obey their judges, but prostituted themselves to other gods and worshipped them. They soon left the way of their fathers who obeyed the commandments of the Lord. They did not follow the way of their fathers. When the Lord made a judge appear among his people, the Lord was with him and saved the people from their enemies. That lasted as long as the judge lived, For the Lord was moved to pity by the lament of his people who were oppressed and persecuted. But when the judge died, they again became worse than their fathers, worshipping and serving other gods. They would not renounce their pagan practices and stubborn ways. The Lord was angry and he said, "These people have broken the covenant I made with their fathers, and they refuse to obey me. Well, I will no longer drive out before them any of the nations which Joshua left when he died, and I will test the Israelites through those nations. Then I shall know if they will finally follow my ways as their fathers did." So the Lord left those nations in their place and did not take the land immediately from them. This was also why he did not give them into the hands of Joshua. Psalm 100. Processional hymn of praise. All the earth acclaim the Lord, serve the Lord with gladness, come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God, he created us and we belong to him. We are his people, the sheep of his fold. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name. For the Lord is good and his love lasts forever, and his faithfulness through all generations. Luke chapter 10 verse 25 to 42. The Good Samaritan. Then a teacher of the law came and began to test Jesus. He said, "Master, what shall I do to receive eternal life?" Jesus replied, "What is written in the law? How do you understand it?" The man answered, "It is written, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus replied, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you shall live." The man wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus then said, "There was a man going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him, beat him, and went off, leaving him half dead. It happened that a priest was going along that road and saw the man, but passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite saw the man and passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan too was going along the road, and when he came upon the man, he was moved with compassion. He went over to him and treated his wounds with oil and wine and wrapped him with bandages. Then he put him on his own animal and brought him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day he had to set off, but he gave 2 denarii to the innkeeper and told him, "Take care of him, and if you spend more, I will repay when I come back." Jesus then asked, "Which of these 3 do you think made himself a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The teacher of the law answered, "The one who had mercy on him." And Jesus said, "Go then and do the same." Martha and Mary. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he entered a village, and a woman called Martha welcomed him to her house. She had a sister named Mary who sat down at the Lord's feet to listen to his words. Martha, meanwhile, was busy with all the serving she had to do, and at last she said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving alone? Tell her to help me." But the Lord answered, "Martha, Martha, you worry and are troubled about many things, whereas only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her."